Hello, welcome back. It's Colin and Rachel again.
Here we are one more time. Keep it going.
Yeah. All right. So, what do we got to talk about today? We're gonna talk about CoachCon because we'll be there next week. Woo, in Nashville. And then we have something exciting in the works, and we will talk to you about that. But I'm gonna not spoil the secret yet. So next week, CoachCon is in Nashville. It's a strategic coach conference, their first annual. I think the latest count, they're expecting around 400 people there, and we get to be a sponsor. I still am so excited that we get to be a sponsor.
I know it's going to be amazing. And we know we're going to have a seat drop, right? Which is just kind of like they're going to go around and put a Finelevate information on every single chair. But the craziest part to me is they're going to do that right as Chris Voss is taking the stage. And I mean, we've talked about that. I don't know if you haven't read Chris Voss, go get the book right now. Just look up Chris Voss. Never Split the
Never
Difference.
split the
It is,
difference.
yeah, it's so amazing. So anyway, just the you know juxtaposition of us right there with Chris Voss going on stage is so exciting to me. So it's going to be very cool.
Yeah. That'll be next Wednesday and Thursday. Is that the 8th and the 9th?
Yep, Wednesday and
Okay.
Thursday, and
Yep.
it'll be it. This will be the anti EOS in a way because we kind of laughed about like EOS. Everything was so start on time, end on time, and I'm not saying Coach won't be on time, but it's like as I was telling you, all visionaries, very few integrators. the the like squirrel, like that is strong with this crowd. So it's funny because I always feel bad for the coaches when they're standing up at the front of the workshops and they're like, "Hey guys,"
Okay.
and literally they have a bell. They walk around. Coach does. I bet you'll hear it next week. They have like a patented bell that they ring that I've only
Oh,
ever heard in my
patented.
life at Coach. Yeah. And so they walk around and ding it loudly because they'll be like, okay, guys, we're starting in 1 minute. And people just sit there and keep talking. So
Yep.
this is herding cats. So it's going to be really
Yeah.
interesting to see how this goes down.
Yeah. And you have to know that about the audience that you have and work with it, you
That's
know?
right. You got to lean into it, enjoy it.
Mhm. Yeah, so that's next week. And we're excited. Hopefully, we'll bring you some videos from Nashville. Hopefully, we'll have some time. EOS conference was very busy. There was very little time in between sessions,
Yes.
but we'll try our best
Yeah.
to
And
bring you some content.
EOS, I think this would be a little different because we're not staying at the same venue where the workshop is. EOS was like, for anybody who hasn't been to now I'm forgetting the name, something Grand Hyatt, whatever it is in San Diego. I mean, it was the size of like I was telling you, like a Las Vegas casino, which you haven't been there in a long, long time. But these Las Vegas casinos, I mean, you can like walk. It feels like a day of walk, and you're just to the other side of the same building. So that one, we never left. Like once we were there, it was the show or the conference, the hotel, like place to eat, like everything was in one spot. And so I'm kind of excited. I've never been to Nashville, and so
You
I'm excited.
haven't?
I've never been to Nashville
I
somehow.
I
So
suppose I have not actually stopped there. I just drove through there on my way to and from Florida. I live in Minnesota. We drove to Florida just a long
I don't think
time.
I'm good with geography because
So
that doesn't make sense to me, but it must be true.
it is. And Nashville is on the way, but we did not stop in it. I think we stopped at a gas station and that's it. So I don't really feel like I can say I've been to Nashville until after next week.
Yeah, so it's gonna be exciting. So it'll be right there at the big music city convention center or whatever it is the big show spot where the conference will be, and then there's a lot of hotels and stuff around there. So this will be exciting.
If you're going to be there, let us know. Well, we want to say hi. We want to meet you in person.
Absolutely.
It'll only be the second time that Colin and I have seen each other in person. That's, the reality of remote work. The
That's
first time
right.
was at
Yeah,
EOS conference.
I know. It's crazy. It took a whole year, and now it'll only take one more month, but it may be another year after
Yep.
that. So we'll see.
Yeah, probably.
But no, it'll be
Many
good.
of
I'm
you have
excited,
remote
and
companies. You know the
yeah, no,
struggle.
no doubt. I'm excited. As we've said, I love coach people. You're going to love a lot of these coach people. You already know some coach people, but you're going to love all the ones you meet. super down to earth, just open, like here's a good, bad, and the ugly. Like they're super open in sharing. They're very obviously they're self-selected into people who are excited to learn, want to get better in their field and in their companies. And so and they value the right things. They value the freedom and the ability to explore their own abilities through coach. That's what they value in their business over just kind of the, Scrooge McDuck kind of just make more money and who cares about anything else kind of mentality. So it's going to be really fun. They're good people, and I can't wait to meet a bunch of new ones.
Yeah, you've met some awesome fellow entrepreneurs through Strategic Coach.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a good crew. And what's funny is, like, as I've told you, this, but I have a lot of friends. In fact, I just had one text me just now who I met kind of indirectly through Strategic Coach, but also a coach client who I don't think he's going to be there next week because he's on some giant road trip. Anyway, he's coming through town where I live, and I've never seen this guy in the flesh. Paul, you've talked to Paul, never seen him in the
Hey.
flesh. Talked with him a dozen times, 20 times. I don't even know how many times virtually. So it's so funny because you get the right kind of people, even when you meet virtually, even when we connect virtually, it just feels like you really know them. They're like just a genuine friend.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited about having all those coach people in one place. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be funny.
hmm I mean, one of the important things if you're an entrepreneur or business owner and not a part of Strategic Coach, the important thing with Strategic Coach is that you're doing something to improve yourself and your business and putting your money where your mouth is with that. Um, and connecting with and entrepreneurs and all of that. Like just investing in you and investing in your business is kind of the takeaway that we would say for you.
Absolutely. And the community, like you mentioned, the community's everything. Like feeling like, and I always say this, we've talked about on this live stream before about like mastermind groups. You cannot overstate the impact in a positive way of having a peer group of people who want similar things to you. They don't have to be the same things, but want, have similar goals, are in it for similar reasons, and who are, really like at different levels of the journey and open to share. When you put that collection of people together, it's amazing what it does for your mindset and your fulfillment in what you're working on, and your how you accept the struggles that you deal with and enjoy the successes that you have. Like it changes everything. So that's part of what I love about it, and what I think is great for, like, I've pushed my business partners into, like, you got to go to coach. And a big reason was that community that I wanted them to have beyond just their relationship with me or, a few local people that we know.
Yeah. Colin has definitely opened my eyes to mastermind groups. You're part of how many?
I don't even count them anymore because there's big ones, little ones. Some are super informal. It's just like a group of four friends, and we just every so often somebody on the text goes, "Hey, we haven't talked in too long. Like, let's get on. When's everybody available next week?" And so some of them are as informal as that. It doesn't have to be some magic formula that you use and a super tight agenda. But I've got one I'm going to go to tomorrow that I started 16 years ago. Um, and then a bunch that have just kind of spawned, and some have gone for a year or two, and then they kind of fade away and new ones pop up. And it's just such a powerful concept, and is so, even though I'm an introvert in my heart, you're more of an extrovert. But as an introvert, it's like warms my heart to connect with the right kind of people, like it just feels so good to have that.
hmm I know I used to be a part of one where we'd meet every week for operators because that's my lane. And you just talk about, all right, what's an issue that's showing up in your work right now and get so much brainstorming together. The quality of the conversations, especially people who've seen something like this before, people have an outside perspective because you can get so close to your business and your team that you don't see the trends like other people do anymore.
Yep. No, that's huge. We've talked about that as a part of like what we do with FinElevate, is having that outsider's perspective. And I was meeting with a guy this morning, and it's the same thing. Like when you're so close to the business, like to the action, you're living in this fight or flight mode. And every day you're just like fending off challenges and trying to take advantage of opportunities and trying to enjoy the ride. Like you don't have a clear, objective perspective anymore. No one does. It doesn't matter how experienced you are. It doesn't matter how, if you're in a good mindset or a struggling mindset, like an outsider's perspective is invaluable. And sometimes in those mastermind groups, you hear yourself out loud describing what's going on, and you're kind of like, I don't think that might be accurate. Like, or that wasn't what I was thinking. You know, it's like you start to challenge yourself just by even having to voice it to someone. You hear it through a different lens. So it's such an incredible experience. And again, I try and tell my kids, like, you know, my oldest is in sixth grade. I'm like, surround yourself with a group of buddies, and all of you want to get to college. Like all of you, like whatever that goal, you want to play eighth grade basketball together. Like whatever the goal is, surrounding yourself with multiple people who are working toward it is a life-changing experience.
It's so valuable for anyone at any stage of their life. Hmm.
Yep.
Speaking of building that community, we've been doing these live streams for, I don't know, a couple of months now,
Yep.
and we're going to try something new. Colin and I are both starting podcasts. Woohoo!
That's right. If one is good, two is better. Why not?
Because I know, hey, we love chatting together on these, but we also have very different perspectives and different things to talk about. And so we figured, let's start two. And I'm guessing that we'll be guests on each other's podcast quite a bit. But so like I focus on operations and management and people and culture. And Colin, you're going to talk about.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about kind of the life and journey of the entrepreneur, right? Which is all I've really ever known, but mine is going to be focused very heavily around like entrepreneurship and trying to get better, right? That's like I've said it 100 different ways, about like the trying to educate myself and try to get better and really be introspective about what's working and what's not, and struggles that I've gone through and what I learned. And so and finding the right who's, like, to go back to our strategic coach terminology of who not how, like surrounding myself with the right kind of who's who have the right knowledge and experience and skill sets that I don't. And so yeah, what I'm really excited with the concept of my show is going to be basically that. It's just manifesting that in a podcast experience. So bringing on experts who have breakthroughs and knowledge that I don't have, or perspectives that I haven't experienced, and then, you know, bringing on people in their entrepreneurial journey who have figured out some of those things, or are willing to open up about the things they've struggled with, talk about some of the good, the bad, and the ugly. So yeah, I'm excited
It's such a
about,
big
yeah,
it's such a big step to when an entrepreneur realizes like, hey, I don't have to do all of the things myself. I don't have to be the expert in everything related to my business, and start that process of bringing on the right who, not how, and bringing on other expertise and growing yourself as an entrepreneur, as a leader of your company.
yeah, yeah. I've described it as like that's when the second life of an entrepreneur begins, is when they can openly admit, I'm not good at everything and I don't like everything, and that's okay. And that empowers the way you approach your team and the way you see outside experts, and the willingness to share within peer groups like we were talking about. I mean, it's really like a whole different world opens up to you. So yeah, and I think once you're on that track, you realize it is a journey. I mean, it's kind of that corny saying of like, it's the journey, not the destination, you know. But the reality is, like, you start to actually enjoy the journey for what it is, and like that's when things get good and the fulfillment gets good and so much more fun.
Mm-hmm. And to partner with that, so my podcast will be more towards the integrators. So if you're an EOS person, you know this term of a visionary and an integrator. The visionary, aptly named, sets the vision for the company. The integrator makes sure that vision happens. And so it usually is a lot more related to team management and processes and the people side. And so my podcast is going to be about that side of the equation. I like
Yeah.
to have this idea of like head and the heart management. I don't know, maybe that'll be the title of the podcast. Who knows? I'm still wordsmithing that one. But a lot of operations or managers feel like you either have to be very numbers based, or I'm looking at performance metrics and I have to say if you're not hitting this metric then you're not a good worker, and I'm looking at the data and it feels very cold. Or you're all the way on the other side of saying, well, I'm just such a big relator to my people and I want to make them feel safe and feel at home and that they can do their best work here. And a lot of times people are either on one side of the spectrum or the other. And I believe that good management brings those two together.
And you're
So
so good at
that's,
that. You're so good at it. And I'm I'm giving you a little bit of a hard time while also giving you a very legitimate compliment. But I've seen people, like, for me, I struggle. I'm very task oriented. So when the chips are down and I'm really heavily focused, and then I have to be super intentional about trying to be more heart focused. And then I'm in my head about, like, does this feel kind of fake or forced, or but yet I've known other entrepreneurs. Some I've jokingly said, like, they try to solve every problem with a hug, and I'm like, some people are so far in that heart piece where their team loves and respects them and sees them for the great human that they are and what they're trying to be. But there's no head, there's no data in the company, there's no process orientation. And so it's like, well, I just have this band of gypsies kind of doing it their own way, and everybody's got the same cause, but no one has work that fits together. And so I love that about your concept, that I feel like you're really kind of looking at both sides of it, and it really is about how it all fits together.
and I do strongly believe that data is also a form of love for your team. Like holding
Mm.
them accountable to certain data is what a lot of people want and need. And so that is being a good manager.
Well, and I want to brag on you one more time on, within our company, that everybody, obviously we've talked a lot about FinElevate. As we're going down this journey, like, for me, in the past few days, I mean, I was telling my wife, like, last night or the other night, they all blend together. So at some point I was rambling about work, and she was entertaining me by listening or pretending to listen. And I was saying, it's such a fulfilling spot where we are, because we're introducing things we want to get better at as a team. And we're introducing data and kind of tracking some of, like, what we're doing and what we're getting done and how much time we're spending on it. And it's such a sign to me that this head and heart piece both exist in our company, because no one felt overly sensitive about it. No one was like, the minute the transparency and data comes out, it's felt like Big Brother's here to use this against me. Like, that, yeah, that wasn't even a topic of conversation, really. And so it was just a great sign to me that people have to feel the respect and the trust that has to be in place, so that we can get down to more of the analytics and that piece. But you're right. Some people, once they get the right the right heart, situated, they just shy away from ever even introducing the head part. And they're just kind of like, I don't know, everybody's in a great mindset, I don't want to ruin it by talking about how we need to get better. And so we'll just coast
Mhm.
with what we've got. And so I'm excited for you to talk about that on your show.
Yeah. So this will be for operators, integrators, managers, people that work with visionaries and entrepreneurs. So it's the other half of the equation. I'm excited. I could talk about this all day, every day, which hence why that is my topic for my podcast. But yeah, so that's what we've got coming down the pipeline. And we're still working on it. We're still figuring out who we want to have as guests, exactly what it'll be called, where you can find it, but tune in for all of those details to come.
That's right. It's coming. It's inevitable at this point. It's just a matter of when. We just got a lot of
Yeah.
ducks to get in a row here, but yeah, it's very exciting.
So
I'm
we're
excited to be on your show and have you on mine, and
yeah.
as well as some of the guests that we're going to have. So it's going to be fun.
Hmm. I know we're going to kind of pivot this live stream weekly live recording into more of a podcast. So you'll see that transition happening over the coming weeks.
Yep, it's going to be good.
That's what we have for today. Stay tuned for more podcast related things, and we will chat with you later. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again later.
That's right.
Bye.
Bye.